Well, good morning again. It's Mark again. I'm back here working, and as you can kind of see, I kind of got some cabinets taken off this morning. A little slow this morning. It's still a little chilly. It's actually a little cold still this morning, but that's okay. We're in here working and staying out of the wind, which is really the bad thing today, is the wind. Made some more progress. Just happy to keep working. got all the, all those bricks and everything from the chimney all tore down and everything. But this morning I'm back in here. I think I'm gonna start in this new kitchen over here on the other side of the house and start getting it ready to gut out. Moving, right now my big problem is I'm having to move things from room to room to room, just so I can keep working, because I've got way too much stuff in this house, and especially for it to be in the state it's in. And me and the wife have been talking about what we're going to do with some of the stuff that, we moved it all in here, almost 6 years ago when we moved in here, and and some of it just stayed even when we found a new place to go live while we were working here, and some of it just stayed here. And a lot of that was, kind of because we didn't have room for it, and a lot of it's tools, and a lot of it's just, it's house repair stuff, and it's become, unfortunately, it's become my storage shed for a lot of, when I get other jobs done. I buy material in bulk a lot of times, and then when I get the job done, I want to get all that off of the job, and so it ends up coming here and getting stored here. So I've got to figure out some way to make that work a little bit better. Some people have, I've had some comments, some good comments, but I've also had some people just send me some messages, and one of the people that sent me a message recently, they asked me the question about, why am I going, they understand that there's some structural issues, but why am I going through such lengths to basically, what in their mind was, it seemed like an awful lot of overkill. Well, yes and no. One of the, when I'm doing work like this, when I'm just taking cabinets off, or like when I showed you before where I was working in somebody else's house, where I'm doing a bunch of painting and whatnot, there's different things that I do. Sometimes I can play a radio. A lot of times I'm listening to like podcast. One of my favorites is True Tales from Old Houses. Stacy and Devin, they put this podcast on, and I really enjoy listening to it. I mean, it's an awful lot of, it's all people who love old houses, who work on them. They probably are true purists in the sense that a lot of them want to, restore everything exactly as it was. And, and I'm more pragmatic. I want to restore the things I can and rehab the things that have to be, and renovate to the point that it's still comfortable for our lifestyle. But I love their podcast. I think they're into season 6 or 7 now, and I'm about to season 5. I am a little bit behind. But I love their podcast. And early on, I think it was like in season 1 of their podcast, they had a guest on there, and he talked about thinking of your old house as a sandwich. That the foundation and the roof are the bread, and everything else in between is your meat, your condiments, and your veggies, and whatever else you want to put on it. But if the bread on the bottom and the bread on the top isn't there, you don't have a sandwich. And so my house here, that's just kind of, why I'm going through all this process is because I'm trying to fix the bread. That's literally what I'm trying to do. I have to take the roof off and rebuild it. There's so much of it that's damaged, and it's been added onto so many times that, it doesn't, the way it's built right now, I mean, it literally has backward slopes on it that, create a big bowl, and there's no sense to put a new roof on it until I rebuild the silly thing. True for the foundation as well. We have lots of problems in the floors. I mean, we've talked, good Lord, I've showed you some of the issues I've run into in the walls and in the ceilings, where they've just cut studs, where they've taken out bearing walls. In that same vein, when they've added on to the house, they've added bits and pieces of foundation, cut other pieces of foundation out. Even with that chimney that I found in here, I went downstairs and I thought, oh, okay, it goes all the way to the basement. Then when we got to the floor and it ended on top of the floor joist, and you go down the basement, but yet there's another brick pier there, I guess now, that's maybe holding up the house. I got to figure these things out. This is part of, the long plan to have the engineer start giving me ideals and designs on what we need to do to shore the house up and make sure that it lasts, and because it's a waste of money and time and a lot of energy to have the inside of this house and not fix the foundation, not fix the roof. We're wasting time and money and energy. And so that's kind of why, I tried to talk about this before, but that's kind of why, we're going to the lengths that we're going. We have to see all the issues that it has so you can start fixing them. I've tried to say this, that, I didn't want to gut the house out from top to bottom. I mean, I knew that was a lot of work. That was not my intention. But once we made that decision, then you have to make the decision of, okay, what are we going to do then? If we've got to go to step A, then what do we need to do from there? So, the logical answer is that you're here. This is probably the one and only shot you're ever going to be here. So let's do as much of the stuff that we need to do, or that we can do at this point in time in the, in history, and where, modern building techniques or whatnot modern building techniques have brought us to, and let's take advantage of as many of those as we can, and then try to basically, restore the historic character of the house on top of that, at least from the outside. Now there'll be some, things that we tried real hard to make it look like it's still old stuff from the inside, but there will also be things that are brand new, modern on the inside that, it's the 21st century, and we are creatures of comfort. And as hard as I work, I told my dad yesterday, I said, one day I will live here, and when I do, I will be comfortable, and I will enjoy living here. As hard as I've worked on this, yes, I want to be able to put my feet up at some point in time, whether that's 5 years in the future, 10 years in the future, or more. I want to be able to put my feet up, kick back, and enjoy living in this house. It warmed up a little bit yesterday outside, but the inside of the house was still freezing cold. And this morning, it's, the temperature's not too horrible outside, but inside the house here, it's freezing cold. I want to be able to come in and sit down and enjoy this house on a cold, snowy day, kick my feet up with, a nice warm cup of coffee or a cup of tea or, whatever, and enjoy the fruits of all the hard labor I've put into it. So, I'm working, right now I'm taking all the meat and the veggies and the condiments, I'm taking all that out of my sandwich so that I can work on the bread. And, my next step is probably to, after I get it all gutted out and, we start shoring things up, then my next logical progression will be go down to the basement, and or go to the roof. I'm not sure which one I'll do yet. I'm leaning towards going to the basement and starting the process of fixing parts of the foundation, shoring the house up in places that it needs to be shored up, digging down in parts of the basement so we can get some height in it, because the one area is very shallow. It's only about, it's barely 6 feet tall. And then another section of it's about 7 feet tall, maybe. And then another part of it is just all crawl space. And so we have quite the bit to go to. As my phone keeps beeping here in the background, I apologize. But we're going to keep working, and that's my goal. So, but hey, shout out to True Tales from Old Houses. If you like podcasts, you got a chance, go listen to them. They're often quite funny, but there's also, they have people that are in the, that have kind of, they're in the industry now, some of them kind of by mistake. Sure, I can do that job, and they take that job on, they have no clue what they were doing, and as they move forward, it's become their career now, or they found out that they're really good at something. So, check out the podcast. Check out the videos, check out their website, those kind of things, and, enjoy. Now, I've told you that there's lots of issues with this house. But I also know that at one point in time on this north side of the house here, down in the basement, I knew they'd had a fire because the floor joists and whatnot were burned. Well, it looks like the fire was just a little more inclusive than what I had originally thought. If we look right down here behind where I just took this sink out, I think maybe I can get it to zoom in there for it. You will notice that my lathe in the back of that wall is charred. I've been kind of looking at it, but you can see that the whole space, the whole cavity in there is black. And I've been looking down here, the 2x4 studs down here at the bottom, they look like charcoal. They look like a log you would put in your fire. A couple of the pieces of the plaster that came off, I kind of took them off in my hand here, but you can see that there's char on the back of that. So I guess there's a part of me that says that maybe, just maybe, I should be extremely thankful that the old girl's still here. This floor in this side of the house is, right through here. I've got bad floors everywhere. I've showed you that there's places where my floors almost look like a sine wave, where they do like this. And in this area here, this is the worst of the floors in the house. Excuse me. When I walk across this floor, it's very spongy. It has a lot of give to it. There may have been some vibrations in the camera even as I was tearing these cabinets apart. But I kind of haven't gotten to the worst of it yet. I don't know how bad exactly it is, but I can see that there's at least 2 cavity spaces here for between the studs that are totally black. The back of the lathe are burnt. This lathe, this one right here. This is just one I just pulled off the wall there, and it is it's been burnt all the way through. The camera can pick that up. Maybe if I get out of the way, the camera will pick that up. But it's been it's totally black, and it was burnt all the way through. It's got char parts right here on the end of it. So I don't know when that fire occurred. I have no clue. I just know that they have kind of tried to sister some 2x on the existing floor joists that are down there, because that it is they were burnt significantly. There's 2 or 3 of them down there that I would say probably lost 50 to 60% of the material in them. I don't know what caused the fire. I know I pulled this little piece of whatever it was out of the back of the cabinet there. This was attached to the wall, but obviously this has been melted. I have no clue what this is. It's some sort of plastic. I don't know if this was just like some sort of backing they put on the back of the wall there when they put the cabinets up. I doubt that these. They're metal cabinets. But I doubt seriously if these are from the 19 teens. I just don't think they are. They don't think they're that old. My guess is these are probably from maybe the 30s or 40s. I know at some point in time, I know that it had another remodel. Where they updated, they modernized it a little bit more, and it's went through stages. There are, the picture that's in the intro, that is the actual, of the fuse box with all those fuses and all those wires. That is on the north side, that's in the basement. But on the south side, we have a breaker panel. It's a very small breaker panel. It's like a breaker panel from like the 50s or 60s. And there are, there's still knob and tube wiring in here, but there's also Romex. So there's a mix of a lot of things. There is a lot of galvanized plumbing, but there's a couple places where there's copper plumbing. So she's had a lot of different variations. But this is just evident that on top of everything else that the old girls had, she also had a fire. So deep in my heart, I'm thankful that it didn't burn to the ground when that happened. Because I wouldn't be here if it did, because I'm certain this happened several years ago. It could have happened several decades ago. I don't have any idea. But keep on working. I mean, obviously, this is all stuff that's going to have to be, we'll fix it and replace it and whatever. But just more. hopefully you caught my video about my staircase, and part of my frustrations and part of my the staircase isn't original, and I can give you an example of why I know it's not original. I'm tearing this build-in out, and it's not the best quality, trust me. But as I'm tearing it out, I pull out one of these shelves. Do you see what's on the other side of this shelf? Imagine that's your piece of trim, that's your carriage trim along the side of your staircase. Here's where your tread would go, here's where your riser will go. This is how most really old staircases are built. They take this piece of board, they trace these in here, they get them all in here, and then they put the steps into here and the risers into here. And, you know, they nailed this board onto the wall, and then they route out these spaces, and your risers and your treads will go in there. And then from the bottom side, they will put little wedges in here to make it tight and keep it from squeaking. So this is, you know, this is about a 3-foot piece. You know, you can see that they're all routed in there. I got multiple steps. There's, you know, 1, 2, 3, up to the 4th step there. And this has been turned into a shelf sitting like this in that cabinet over there. I mean, this still has the piece of trim attached to the top of it. It still has this, you know, some of this ugly green, but this is, you know, this is the original shellac and everything that was on here. But here is another part of my original staircase. This is what should have been in the house somewhere. And I just, you know, I just happened to, I pulled that shelf out and I could feel something underneath it, and I flipped it over to, because I thought maybe something was attached to the bottom of it, and there's what I have. So again, you know, imagine that's the side of your staircase, that's your carriage. They call that the carriage trim, or your skirt trim, one or the other. And that's, you know, that's how they would have built the staircase. They just would have routed that out, put the edges, you know, put the treads in there, put the risers in there, and then that would have been the finished look going up your stairs. Oh well, we keep moving. So, really kind of excited here for just silly little things, but in the process of taking this off, I found something stuck to the wall. We'll put this in the camera here. I doubt it'll pick it up, but maybe. Nah, it ain't gonna pick it up. But Indian head on one side, buffalo on the other side. An Indian head nickel. It looks like it's dated 1918. It's really hard to tell. One, I don't have my glasses on, and two, it's got some tarnish and some other stuff on it, so it's not in the best condition. But still, old coins, those are always cool to find. So, but it was stuck to a part of the wall here when I didn't notice it until I was just, you know, I was moving stuff around, and then I said, "What is that?" And I went over and popped it off, and it's, you know, it's an old Indian head nickel that somehow or another had gotten wedged between the cabinet and the wall, and here it is in 2022, and I have found it. So, yeah, cool. Okay, cool find number 2 for today. Maybe the camera will pick that up. I think it is a creamer cup. I was trying to pick up the bottom of this to see if I could read off to you what it says. See if it'll pick that up if I get out of the way. Maybe not. So it really won't pick, the camera won't pick it up, but what it says Warwick 1938 on the bottom of it. Don't have any idea what that is just yet. I'll do some research, and maybe if I can figure it out, but I think it's just a little china cream cup, and it was in that cabinet that I was working on right there. And as I was kind of, you know, trying to figure out how this thing's put together and kind of giving a little, you know, forceful persuasion there, it fell out of the wall. It was back stuck inside the wall. Cool beans. Anyway, you know, a nickel, and now a piece of china that's a cool to find. So, good day. Well, that's going to wrap it up this week here at the 1875 Lady in Waiting. We thank you so much for coming along on our journey with us. We thank you for the likes. We thank you for the subscribes. We thank you for the shares. It's very much appreciated, and we'll be happy to join you again here next week or so, and we'll go forward.